Hi friends, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel, Sunset Bow Tarot. So today, because it's the new year and is the right kind of timing for all of these kinds of topics, I wanted to make a video on a topic that is really near and dear to my heart, but that I surprisingly have never talked about on my channel before. And that is the topic of journaling, and to a lesser extent planning. Is get into a little bit more about my history with planning and things that I've done in that area or not done in that area, and like kind of how that is changing for me this year. But for the most part, I think for this initial part one of this little series I'm making, I want to talk through my history with journaling, sort of give you a tour of various systems that I've used over the course of my life, and you know how my journaling has kind of evolved over time. And then I think what I'll do is I will make a part two of this video where I talk a little bit about how my journaling and planning system is actually going to be different this year, just due to a variety of changes in my life that's necessitated making a change to my system. So I think I will save that for a part two because I don't know how long these are going to get. But let's start by talking through my journals. I'll just kind of give you a little tour of what I've used over the course of my life and show you where my systems have changed and why, and kind of talk through that history. Before I get started, I do want to just apologize for there's like this weird little bit of red nail polish on my thumbnail, and that is because I was just in Colorado for Christmas at my sister's house, and my niece did nail art of a little Santa hat on my thumbnail, and it's almost all worn off, but I can't bear to take the rest of it off because I already miss them so much. So that's what this is a former Santa hat. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's start with what I have always thought of as my first ever serious journal. Serious journal. When I was a kid, you know, like all kids, you know, your friend gives you like a little diary with a little lock on it for your birthday, and you write in it for like 3 days, and then you forget about it and never see it again, and like lose it somewhere along the way. And I did have some like diaries like that as a kid, but when I was 12, in 1990 is when I first started keeping like what I thought of as a serious journal, where I did journal on a very regular basis and really made a point of actually, you know, making it about the process more than about the book that I was writing in, and started actually, you know, filling up my journals for real. So, so this is the first one I ever had. I started it when I was 12. I think this took me maybe like a year and a half to finish, I think, something like that. But anyway, this was my very first one. I don't even remember where I got this, to be perfectly honest, but this is my cute little volume one, as you can see. Back then, I just wrote in ballpoint, actually. I am much pickier about pens right now, and I'm not going to talk about pens in this video, but I've gotten into fountain pens in the last year. So I have a lot of like nerdy pen thoughts. So if you're interested in hearing those, please let me know. But back when I first started this, obviously none of that was available to me. Like there weren't even any gel pens at the time. Like they didn't exist as far as I know. So I usually just wrote with a ballpoint, and it was always like whatever the smoothest writing ballpoint was in the family junk drawer, which I would grab and jealously guard from the rest of the family so that they couldn't take it away from me. And I kept my journals at that time in one of those metal ammo boxes, like army ammo boxes. I'm pretty sure my stepdad got it for me at like literally the military surplus store. I'll insert a picture so you can see what I'm talking about, but it had a lock on it. So that's where I kept my journals, you know, back when I was younger and I only had, you know, like 5 or 6, and that was where I kept it locked away with my special ballpoint pen. What you'll see is that for a number of years, it was basically the same kind of format. Volume 2 was a gift from my best friend in elementary school. It was a birthday present. Volume 3, it was really just lined blank books, whatever I could find. I didn't have a lot of money, obviously spending money at the time, so it was just whatever pretty one I could find. I do remember when I got these ones because there was like a 4-pack for sale at Costco, and I found these books in that like 4-pack, and that was like a super find. I think it was like 4 for $12 or something. It was like such a good deal. But anyway, so these just kind of continue in the same vein. again, lined blank book, always the same. And I always thought this one was really pretty. It's amazing to me like how limited the choices were back then. There's so much more available nowadays as far as like really beautiful blank books with really nice paper and nice bindings and everything. But this is another one I think I found at Costco that was another really good deal. And I remember just being so enamored of it because it had all this pretty like gilding and it looked like a leather bound book. But like the ones that they have nowadays are just so much more beautiful. It's incredible. So I do remember this one, I want to say, yes, this would be volume 10. So this was over the course of like a single month in 1995. That was my senior year, or this would have been actually my junior year of high school. So I went through this one very fast because obviously it was all the drama at the age of 17. But this was the first time I ever used a spiral notebook. And I like this one, but what I discovered is that the paper in spiral notebooks really sucks. So I found myself like only writing on the front of the pages because there was so much like ghosting, and also because the spirals would like get in the way of my hand when I wrote on the other side. So so spiral notebooks just weren't actually the best for me typically. I did go back to a blank book then again. This one I remember I found at a really cool shop. I was away for the summer, a debate camp actually, just in case you were not sure how much of a nerd I am. I was at debate camp for the summer, and my journal ran out, and so I had to get another one, and I couldn't find a nice bound one like at any of the shops that were within walking distance to me. So I ended up getting this one at a store in Ann Arbor. I was at the University of Michigan at debate camp, and I remember the store was called Middle Earth. It was just this really like cute shop in Ann Arbor that I think was around for a really long time. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was around for like decades. And it was within walking distance of the dorms. So I was able to get this one. And unfortunately it was another spiral bound one, which wasn't my favorite, but you know, it was what it was. So this one, another spiral bound, but one, again, I was pretty over spiral binding at that point, but this one was a gift from my mom. And it was really cool. It had all of this like astrological stuff on it. Again, this stuff wasn't quite as easy to find back then. Like nowadays, like this, you know, you would find this for like $2 at Target, but my mom got this for me, and I always really liked this one. So this was volume 13, which I started right before I graduated in 1996. And so, yeah, so this was another spiral bound one. So here is volume 14. This is the only journal that I never actually filled. I think I only got about halfway. Yeah, I only got halfway into this one because at this point I was in college and I was spending so much time on my computer. And again, like this is, keep in mind, like the mid to late 90s. So, you know, before that, I spent very little time on the computer, but once I got into college was when I did start spending time on the computer. And so for a while, I moved my journal into a computer-based journal. So let me show you that. So here is the binder that has the portion of my journal that I typed on the computer, which I did for a couple of years, like mostly like late college, I think. So this entire section is this is that section. It has some printed out pages, and it also has some binder paper because that's what I would typically have in class if I needed to write in class. Yeah, so this chunk here, I actually just put it into this binder like recently, like maybe last year sometime, because I just had this like stack of paper sitting in a folder, and then I was finally like, you know what, I should really hole punch that and put that into a binder, because I had some other like loose pages laying around that I thought I could at least organize. And you'll notice here that I have the original floppy disks that I kept my journal on when I was in college. So that should give you a sense as to the era. But this is what I would consider, I guess, to be volume 15. So this was a couple years of just journaling on the computer, and then I eventually just printed it all out. So that's that. All right, so after those years of computer journal, I decided to go the exact opposite direction. Somehow forgot that I didn't like spiral bound notebooks, and this is what I would consider volume 16. So this is like the very end of college. This was also my first foray into an unlined journal, which I discovered that I absolutely cannot deal with. So this was like a full mistake in every way, but I still filled it up and it is what it is. So here's volume 17, which I like barely have space for on camera. This journal was like ginormous. This is like really, really huge. Anyway, this one was, as you can see, 384 pages and it's 8.5 by 11. So this thing was gigantic. It took me a couple years, I think, to fill this up. At the time, this was when I was just really starting law school, and I never took my journal to campus with me. Like, it just, I don't know, I felt weird about it. So I kept this at home, and I actually really liked this one. It was really nice to write in. The paper was really nice. And this is also when I started getting a little bit pickier about pens. This is when I really like discovered gel pens. And so I was able to start like writing in different colors. These were actually like secure jelly rolls were what I was using. And it was fun to be able to write in those different colors. So that sort of is where my love affair with pens and, you know, having some flexibility in terms of what I was using to write with first started, was when I was using this one. So this one took me a couple years, obviously, to fill up all the way. So these were the next two. I kind of reverted to form after the 384 page behemoth. These are just your normal standard, like plain blank books. This one I think is volume 18 and this one's volume 19. So yeah, just your basic. So right after that was when I think like paper blanks journals came on the scene, or at least I discovered them. And they had these famous author ones that were really cool. So this one is Charlotte Bronte. So this is volume 20. Don't you love how I like gave them volume numbers? Like, how ridiculous is that? But anyway, this is volume 21. This one is Ernest Hemingway. And I did really like these a lot. These were really cool journals. So then I had this gorgeous one with the silk cover. I don't remember the name of the shop that I found this at. It was in Washington, D.C., and it was a really cool shop, but I don't remember. But this one is so pretty. So I really enjoyed that one. This one was sort of like mid to late law school. The one thing I have learned about these ones with the wraparound cover is that like they can get really annoying if the cover always like flops over on your hand. So I don't actually usually buy ones like this anymore, but this was a really pretty one. I really liked it. So this next one, this is, yes, volume 23. I hate this one. Like, it almost literally says live, laugh, love on the cover, but whatever. I found this one at a museum store that was going out of business, and this was marked down like, I don't even know, 75% or something like that. So it was just a couple bucks, and it's a nice journal, and I like the square shape of it, so I went ahead and got that one. So next up, I have some plain black ones where I just literally put Star Wars stuff on the cover. So yeah, these are, again, like late law school, and they were plain, so stickers. Next up was this Anne of Green Gables journal, which I bought just because I love all things Anne of Green Gables, and I was sort of like, you know, there was like so much illustration on these pages. They're really beautiful, but this thing lasted me like 2 weeks because there was so little space to actually write in it. But it was just so pretty, and I wanted to have it, and then I figured as long as I have it, I might as well write in it. So that was the next one. And then this is another one that I put stickers on the cover, another one of those plain black ones. These are actually the stickers. I was a huge Tori Amos fan at the time. And, you know, like, I obviously still am, like, love Tori Amos. Haven't listened to as much of her recent stuff, but at the time I was like, I don't know. I've been to see her in concert like 6 or 7 times. I don't even know how many times. But anyway, these were the stickers that came with her album Scarlet's Walk. So I put them all over the cover of this journal. Again, a plain black one. And then they kept peeling off. So I literally put packing tape over them. Lovely. You know, not the best, but anyway, this would be volume 25. So again, this is in 2004. This is like the very end of law school. So next up was this journal. So this was like an investment that I made right when I graduated from law school. I'd gotten a job offer, so I actually had some money, and I decided that I was going to invest in this sort of like perpetual journal system. So the idea was that it had these like inserts, and then it came with like a leather cover. And it was really pretty, but I ended up really regretting the purchase because what I discovered about these inserts is that the cover is like super floppy. So this sucked. And I don't like floppy covers on journals because I like to be able to write like on my lap without having a desk or something like that, or like put my knee up and just write on it. So it kind of drove me crazy to have this floppy cover. And I also didn't like the paper in these. Like I found that there was too much like ghosting on the other side. So I didn't like that. And then I actually ended up like typing my journal again for a while. So I actually just pasted those bits of typed journal into this one. So a lot of this is literally just typed journal. But anyway, I did fill this one up, but then I never used another one because it just drove me too crazy writing in this like floppy thing. So so I don't even know where the leather cover is anymore. It was really pretty. I had like monogrammed and everything, like it was so pretty. And I don't even know where it is, but I still do have this one insert that I filled up for it. So I will say that despite regretting this purchase, one fun thing about this looking back is that this is like the first, because I started this in 2004, this is like the first journal where I actually started writing down some of my tarot readings. I started reading tarot in 2003, and then this was like in mid 2004 when I really finally started actually kind of working it into my life and making it part of my regular practice. So like this would be a very cute example, and I love this because this just shows me in 2004 as a brand new tarot reader. The only reading I knew how to do was a Celtic cross. I was still trying to read reversals, which I don't do anymore. Like I don't know, I just think this is so cute. So anyway, this would be an example of how I folded tarot into my existing journaling practice. I never started a dedicated tarot journal or anything like that. This is how I did it, and this is how I still do it. So I did after that go into what was basically a really fallow period for journals for a while. So you'll see this tab is labeled volume 28, and like for a number of years actually I really barely journaled at all. Like I attempted bullet journaling. I would start a couple of pages in a journal and then like never keep writing in it, and then buy a different one. And so like this tiny little chunk here actually represents probably, I don't even know, 6 or 7 years worth of just not writing in a journal for a long time. That was like the kind of one and only fallow period of journaling in my life. And yeah, it sucked and I missed it. So I did eventually go back to journaling. Gosh, when was it? I don't know, like mid-teens, I suppose. So at that point I started using another one of these. I'd had this for years at that point. This isn't as many pages as the Behemoth, but it's still 8.5 by 11. So another nice big journal. I only wrote on the front pages of this because I made space for like drawing tarot cards and putting tarot spreads on the backside pages of this journal. But this, you know, this was definitely a very big like rediscovering journaling, rediscovering tarot, just a I don't know, this was an important time for me, and just sort of getting back to myself and who I was as myself after kind of a long period of letting that part of myself really kind of languish and be neglected. So yeah, I do love this one. So these are more recent journals. These are like late teens journals. So I've probably showed these on my channel. My channel has been around since 2018, so I'm sure you guys might have even seen both of these. I'm sure I've showed them at one point or another, but these are Peter Popper press journals, which are really, really beautiful. You can see I'm doing a lot of tarot stuff. I'm still drawing cards a lot, and very poorly, obviously, and writing down my spread. This is another one, you know, this is like 2019, it looks like. But this is also like, I finally started to, I got one of those like little Canon Ivy printers, and started taking photos of some of my spreads in 2019. So that was another kind of new thing that I adopted. I 100% blame Kelly from The Truth and Story and Lisa Pappas for that purchase, but I absolutely love it. And taking pictures of the spreads and incorporating them into my journal has been just like a huge, huge thing for me. And I really love that little printer. But this is also the point at which I decided to make a really major change in my journal keeping practice, because what I discovered is that these freeform journals make it kind of difficult for me to really do any kind of tracking, like daily draw tracking and things like that. Like there isn't a good way without, you know, creating a whole kind of spread in the journal, which I am not a bullet journaler. I'm not good at that kind of thing. Creating that kind of structure is really difficult for me. I never attempted to do that kind of stuff in this journal. So I decided I wanted to try something a little more structured, specifically for tarot. So here's what I got. So this was something I tried in 2020. This is the Daily Tarot Planner. This is by Catherine Knott, who is Owl and Bones Tarot on Instagram. And this is a really, really cool planner. But what I found was that this was just like too structured for me. There were times when I wanted more space to write. There were times when I wanted less space. Like, this was really cool, but it didn't work for me. So I actually quit using this in May, and I just like tore out the rest of the pages and kind of went to a different system. But you know, it was really cool to try this just to see how this kind of planner would work for me. And if you are in the market for a more structured tarot planner, she sells these on Lulu, and they're just really good. I did like the fact that it included, you know, some like card tracking and stuff like that. So anyway, that was an interesting experiment. It didn't quite work out for me, but I know that there's a lot of people for whom this would work out. Like, if you are looking for a really structured planner, tarot planner, this is a really, really cool one. So anyway, so after that, what I did is I moved into a traveler's notebook system for a couple of years. So these are basically just my like archives of inserts. Midori makes these little binders where you can put multiple inserts in. So I had like sort of more structured planners where I was trying to like keep track of daily draws and stuff like that. I had inserts that were just plain old like journal kind of thing. So, you know, this was fine. Like, I definitely enjoyed the Traveler's Notebook system for a while, and I thought that it was like a really good way to sort of be able to customize the system such that I would have a insert that I could use for more structured like daily draw tracking and things like that, plus inserts that I could use for just like free form journaling. So I did like that system, and I did use that for a couple of years. So these are, you know, just like the little binders full of all of my, you know, various inserts that I pasted a bunch of stuff in, and like, you know, had some that were just like calendar inserts where you can see me either like being really good or really bad about my daily draws. But anyway, you know, so this was good for a while. The thing that actually like really finally put me off of the Traveler's Notebook system was honestly, again, the floppiness. Like, the floppiness of it just really bothered me. And so, you know, and I like to be able to have things, able to like sort of be on my knee and, you know, easy to write in with like a hard back. So, you know, that was really the thing that kind of eventually put me off the Traveler's Notebook system. I still have a couple of my Traveler's Notebook covers. I did de-stash several of them. Like, I had more covers than I needed. It was fun to sort of switch them out seasonally and stuff, but you know, I eventually decided that I had more than I needed, especially because I was finding myself moving into a new system again. So I, you know, decided to de-stash a number of them, but I still have a couple. I still have a few inserts. You know, I'm not saying that I will never ever again use the Traveler's Notebook, because there's so much that I really, really, really loved about it. I think it is honestly a really fantastic system, and there might be someday in the future a way that I think of to use them again, but I'm just not sure, you know, what that'll look like or when that'll be. So I'm hanging on to some of the stuff, but again, you know, this is basically my like little archive of the years I spent in the Traveler's Notebook. And so that is the end of part 1 of my tour through my life of journal keeping, going all the way back to 1990 when I was 12 years old. So I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this. Part 2 is going to be a look at my current system that I am starting this year. There have been a fair number of changes in my life that have necessitated adopting not only journaling, but also paper planning as part of my life. And so I'll talk through about that transition a little bit and also show you the current books that I'm using and how I'm using them, and take a look at what my system looks like now in the year 2023. Anyway, I hope you'll check that out once I post it. And also, if you are so inclined, I'd love it if you gave this video a like and maybe subscribed if you were interested in seeing some of my upcoming content. You can also find down in the description box links to my online store, sunsetbao.com, where you can book tarot readings with me. You can also find down there a link to my relatively new, just a couple months old Etsy store, Sunset Bao Boutique, where I sell a lot of fun stuff that I make, including tarot zipper bag pouches, spread reading cloths, some crocheted tarot bags, some other crocheted jewelry and things of that nature. So there's a lot of fun stuff there, and I hope you will check it out if you're interested. So thank you again for joining me. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.